backgrounds, many different performance levels, many different motivations, many different sales prices, many different everything. From a psychological standpoint, are there any like specific traits that you see like right off the bat where you're like, okay, all I have to do is give them the process and the systems, and this
Mhm.
one's going to take off? Like psychologically, where's that person at?
I mean, could I start with maybe some of the yellow flags that I see first
Yeah,
before we
like the
continue
opposite
there?
perspective. Sure.
Yeah, almost like the opposite perspective, because, and it's, by the way, it doesn't necessarily mean anything as far as, that person isn't going to go on and become wildly successful. But people come into this industry from all sorts of from all sorts of backgrounds and stuff. But I see patterns, like patterns arise in a situation where very often, most people are in their heads all the time. And so they don't realize that when we're in our position, they think that everything that they see or say or do is unique. And it's interesting that when we're talking to a lot of people that are potentially interested to join the team, that these flags pop up and creates an opportunity for us to dive a little bit deeper. So let me give you an example. If an agent joins the team and they're really super interested in what their business card looks like, starting an email campaign, a newsletter, mailers, like they go right to the minutia. They go right to, okay, well, I mean, and it sounds logical. It actually sounds, it's not a criticism because, okay, I got to get my business going. When you and I know from, like you said, all the experience that we've had, it really comes down to what are the conversations you're having and what's your skill set and understanding around the conversation so that you can provide massive value to those people to have them want to work with you because their choices are seemingly unlimited. They don't always understand, the people in the public understand how to differentiate you from someone else. And it's and the secret here is it's not your business card. It's not what your Instagram. And listen, I'm not discounting. You should have your Instagram set up properly, with your headline and all that stuff. It should be set up properly, but that's not going to make or break you. It's the conversations that you're having. And then those things back you up and present you as a more professional person. I mean, that's one flag that comes off the top of my head. But then I understand the baseline where they're working from, so I know how to kind of start to guide them, because the successful people then start to realize, okay, this is a game. It's a numbers game,
That's right.
while also not a numbers game. You have to, in other words, you have to load up the opportunities to have real estate related conversations. That's the key term, key phrase, real estate related conversation. But that you have to believe or have faith that each and every one of those could be a yes or should be a yes. Because when you start going through the motions and you're like, well, I committed to talking to 20 people today, and it just becomes a check off that, okay, I feel better about myself because I actually got through the 20 calls. Yes, but what was the quality of that? Did you move those people towards any closer to an appointment? Right? So what we're talking about today, Steve, is those people that have to some degree figured it out. Like, congratulations. There's plenty of you out there that have actually figured out going from one deal a year, and you've survived that, what we call the valley of death. And now you're doing 6 to
Yeah.
12, but for some reason there's this plateau that you hit and you're like, what more can I possibly do? I'm already giving it my all. Right.
Do you think there's an element of like, so you said a lot there, which is great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that there's an element of, well, I remember, God, this is going back 20 years or something like that. I don't know if it was Joe Polish or not Joe Polish. It was Dean Jackson, who I think used to own a company called like Go Go Listing Agent or something like that. And I remember listening to a podcast with him and Joe, and Joe's like, "Hey, the people that are in your thing, they seem to do really well." This is like back during like the old school. I hate using the word old school, but like during the like very heavy mailing, door knocking, open houses 5 days a week. The very
Mm-hmm.
which by the way in today's market would do very well. It's not all about digital, right? Um, But he said, he goes, our mentality over the listing agents to take more listings than everybody else is that everybody is a ready to list seller that doesn't have an agent that will list at your price this week until they tell you otherwise. And from a buyer perspective, it's the same thing. Everybody we talk to is a cash buyer that knows they want, that knows the home they want to buy, that doesn't have a real estate agent that is writing an offer this weekend until they tell us otherwise. And I think people are like, I think, and it could be the media. I don't know what it is. People are very pessimistic with real estate. Real estate agents are very pessimistic with leads because they're like, oh, this was a Facebook lead. It was $2. It's top of funnel. It takes 9 months to convert. When at the end of the day, anybody who's willing to have a conversation around real estate for whatever reason is a ready to go buyer or ready to go seller until they tell me otherwise. And I think that like, um, I can't use your Rivian for an example. Does Rivian, you order that online? You don't go into a dealership, right? Yeah.
They have a showroom, but you can't buy. You can't actually purchase it there. You can go do a test drive and check it out, and maybe look at trim level, but it's completely on the app.
Yeah.
Not even online. It's through the app.
You would think like, and I've never purchased an electric car. And so I think that would be a weird experience the first time I went through it. But there was a
Totally.
911. I was like, actually, it was in Parsippany, New Jersey, wherever that's
Hmm.
at.
Yep.
And this Porsche dealership has this camera system where they put the 911 on this platform, and the camera basically takes a 360 in and out camera, and they use that to show you like any damage. And then after that, they're like, well, it's under warranty, so like anything that could be wrong with it, which there's nothing wrong with it, like is covered. So you want to buy it, we'll ship it to you. It's a very like, and I didn't buy it, but it's a very streamlined thing. And I think a lot of people are used to like in the car business going in there and haggling and arguing about price and the upsells and the interest rate and where you're financing and all that stuff, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't think housing is all that different. I think people come into it with like a little bit of like, hold on a second, like how much do I need to protect myself before I really let you in on what we want to do, right? So do you think this is the question I was going to get to earlier? I work really hard. I do because 12 deals a year is one deal a month. So that means, figuratively speaking, at all given times, I have one deal that I'm working on right now. So do you think that activity level that they're doing to identify that one transaction a month kind of stalls when they get there because they feel like this is the only deal that I have and I absolutely can't let this cancel? So everything else stops and then they work that deal and then that closes. And then that conversation after they're like, okay, well, my deal's closed. I got my commission check. Like, now I don't have any deals. Like, and they hit panic mode, and then the cycle kind of resets itself.
So what?
How
So
do they
what
get
you're
through?
so Yeah. So what you're describing is not theory. I mean, and I know that I can speak to that clearly because, as you know, I'm second generation real estate.
Yeah,
I followed my father into this business, and really my mother as well. And I saw this firsthand. I mean, my father, what by all measures, like, look, in on Long Island, I don't know how it is anywhere else, but on Long Island, you're doing 12 deals a year. You're probably winning some prestigious award at the end of the year through the brokerage, right?
it's
Like you're
most
going to
wonderful
get
for sure.
recognized.
Yeah,
You're going to be sought after. You're going to be recruited. Your ego might even be bolstered because people are going to respect you, and that can be a good thing.